This article is from WKBW.com, and it is this: 9 hospitalized, including staff and inmates, after chemical exposures at Attica Correctional Facility. Attica, New York. Authorities are investigating 3 separate incidents at Attica Correctional Facility involving a chemical exposure that resulted in 9 people being hospitalized. According to the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, those who were sent to the hospital for testing included correction officers, nurses, and inmates. Sunday morning, March 16th, officials say an inmate was searched after seeming to be off. Staff allegedly found paper on the incarcerated individual. Doc says the inmate was then admitted to the facility infirmary due to his suspicious behavior. 3 correction officers who were involved in the incident reported feeling lightheaded, dizzy, and one began vomiting. All 3 were then taken to an outside hospital for testing. Hours later, on Sunday, March 16th, Doc says 2 inmates were seen by National Guardsmen laying on the ground during their recreation time. The 2 individuals were then reportedly carried by correction officers from their recreation pens to the infirmary, where a nurse administered Narcan to both. The inmates were then taken to an outside hospital. The sergeant and the nurse involved in the incident were also taken to an outside hospital after they reported feeling nauseous and dizzy. Wednesday morning, March 19th, Doc says a staff member at Attica opened an envelope and the powder spilled out. The employee then became ill, and state police, EMTs, and hazmat were all notified. The staff member and the nurse were both taken to an outside hospital. Doc says these incidents remain under investigation. Just very quickly, I just wanted to point out, for those of you who may have forgotten, part of what Governor Kathy Hochul conceded to was having a third party contractor come into facilities and handle the mail. So, in this respect, this might be a good example for correction officers as to why they should not be handling mail, because people are mailing in, you know, illegal substances, and people are getting ill and getting injured. So let's go back to the article. Just before Wednesday's incident, the Attorney General's office cracked down on drugs making it into prisons, specifically paper. By the way, if everyone could please do me a favor real quickly, if you can just give me a thumbs up, you know, like the video, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps with the algorithm. A lot of this content is really not shared to a large audience by YouTube, just by the mere fact of what I'm covering. So any assistance that y'all could do to really help me, I'd really appreciate it. And I thank you tremendously. So let me go back to the article. Tuesday, 33-year-old Maya McIntosh of Albany pleaded guilty to charges pertaining to purposefully soaking synthetic cannabis onto paper and envelopes disguised as legal paperwork and sending them to inmates at various correctional facilities in New York from January 2023 until July 2024. It is unknown if any of those prisons are in Western New York. She faces up to 20 years in prison and maximum fines totaling more than $1 million. Let me know what you guys think about this story in Attica, and you know, these people being hospitalized for drugs. You know, I do think it is a good idea. I believe the striking officers didn't ask for this, having a third party, you know, contractor deal and sort with the mail. I think they probably have the proper facilities and technology to kind of prevent some of these injuries from happening, and stopping drugs from getting into these facilities. You guys tell me what you think. Do you think the majority of drugs that get it into prison are from inmates and visits, or they're from or they're from correction officers. Who do you think traffics more drugs into correctional facilities? Let me know your thoughts. So we have Chris Milkey who says I think it's BS. I'm assuming Chris, you believe that like the story is BS or it's overblown. So feel free to comment back. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Samantha Ortiz says, I believe more than a handful of correctional officers also sneak in cell phones, drugs, etc. We know that to be a fact. For those of you who don't follow, I do follow a YouTuber by the name of Conservative Felon. He has spoken and he did a great video about all of the correction officers who've been arrested, charged. I mean, not all of them, but he highlighted maybe about 10 to 15 correctional officers who have been arrested and charged with crimes. And part of what they did was smuggling in, drugs and cell phones and stuff of that nature. And they've made a pretty penny. They've made a pretty penny. BJ Webb says, I think it's made up. Okay, I think it's made up. La Flaca says officers. So La Flaca thinks that officers, bring in most of the drugs in these correctional facilities. R.O. Plo says rehabilitation for the inmates, they're not animals. Well, I'm definitely a firm believer that if you treat people as such, if you treat people like an animal, they'll behave like an animal. So you want people to treat you with respect. It's a two-way street. You know, both officers and those incarcerated have to be respected, but there has to be consequences for bad behavior. And honestly, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that. Chris Milkey says it's correction officers. Variant says COs. BJ Webb's COs, workers definitely bring stuff in often. They do not get checks at all when going in. That's a very good point. They have easy access to the facility. They don't go through a rigorous check of their body. So I can see that definitely happening. Okay. Okay, guys, we've been on for about an hour and 13 minutes. Um, I'll do one last link if anybody wants to come on and chit chat for a bit. I'm more than happy to have a conversation. If you disagree with me, my belief was that correctional officers should not be barred from employment within New York State. If you disagree, feel free to come on. Let's go into more comments. Michelle says, I believe that to be true, officers, in terms of bringing in drugs. Michelle, again, they know how to get around the system, of course, yeah. But they're all connected to each other. They're all connected. They are all connected. If you found value in this video, please consider joining and becoming a member. The first and second tier memberships are both less than the price of a Starbucks cup of coffee. It helps financially support the channel. If not, no worries. Feel free to like the video, comment on the video below, share the video, and if you feel that I've earned it, please subscribe to the channel. My goal is to give you honest and direct feedback and go deeper than what the mainstream media is telling and showing you. Take care, God bless, and see you next time.